AG Pam Bondi wants to attack free speech in the name of free speech. Let's discuss. All right, guys. So I don't know if you've seen or heard or anything recently, but it's all over Twitter. It's all over social media. It's all over the news. Pam Bondi has gone on a campaign where she wants to prosecute those who are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. Now, don't get me wrong. I do not like the people who are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. I actually am very pleased with all the companies and businesses that are firing these people that are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. No company, mine included, anybody's, should ever hire somebody that celebrates the death of somebody else, no matter whom it is, on the right side or the left side. And you guys know over the last few videos, I have said I dislike hypocrisy. I hate hypocrisy. And I don't like anybody that practices hypocrisy. Pam Bondi is practicing hypocrisy. She is literally going after the people. She's not literally going after. Let's correct that. She wants to go after the people who are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. No, that is not the right thing to do. Let me show you what's going on here, okay? Let's do this here. All right, so here we go. Bondi pledges DOJ crackdown on hate speech after the Kirk assassination. Let me stop right there. Hate speech. What is hate speech? I mean, what is it? There's no such thing as hate speech. In the Constitution, it says we have the right to freedom of speech. Doesn't say the freedom of speech other than hate speech or ugly speech or speech we don't want to listen to. This is the freedom of speech, period. So there is no such thing as hate speech. That is a construct that was created by the liberal leftist nut jobs because they couldn't handle somebody saying something bad about them. So they had to go and create some laws, and somehow this went through the Supreme Court somehow, which means, of course, at the time, the Supreme Court was majority left, so that makes sense, right? Anyway, so let's continue on. This is Attorney General Pam Bondi announced that the Justice Department will target, not going to target, may target, will target individuals engaging in hate speech in response to the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who was shot dead on September 10th, actually, not September 11th. September 11th is a whole different thing, but that's a different story. September 10th, 2025, during a campus event in Utah. Authorities initially identified the shooter as a disgruntled conservative supporter. Been proven untrue. But Bondi attributed the killing to a left-wing radicals, which is true. All evidence is definitely has been pointed in that direction, and cited DOJ investigations into cases like an Office Depot employee refusing to print vigil flyers for Kirk. Her statements, which distinguish hate speech from protected free speech, have drawn bipartisan criticism. I am on the right side, folks, for all general intents and purposes. And I tell you what, I am disgusted by a Bondi saying this, including from conservatives who note the irony given Kirk's advocacy for unrestricted expression, while legal experts and the ACLU stress that U.S. law protects offensive speech absent imminent harm. 100% agree. Meanwhile, companies such as NASDAQ and MSNBC have fired employees for mocking Kirk's death. Now, that is companies like NASDAQ or MSNBC or New York Times or, Office Depot who are firing these people. That is a private action taken on their business. Just because you have free speech does not mean you are free from the consequences of that free speech. And if you're saying something that a company doesn't agree with and that actually goes against their moral and ethical objectives, then they can and should fire you. You just because you're an employee doesn't mean you saying something that is not reflective of your company's ideals is something that you should be protected from. Me personally, I would not fire any employee that mocked Charlie Kirk's death. I would say, hey, dude, that was not right. That's not called for. I wouldn't fire them for it. They're allowed to have their opinions, and I would like to know their opinions. I actually openly want their opinions. I don't have to agree with my employees, but I also see the side where the company says, hey, you're not fitting the ideals of everything. And as a representative, someone that represents our company, you stating such a thing violates that trust with our customers. You will no longer represent our company. I have no problem with the company doing that. But Pam Bondi, you going after people because they're laughing at and celebrating Charlie Kirk's death for hate speech? Come on, that's just ridiculous. That's bullshit. Now, you know, I want to share this tap from Viva Fry, who I absolutely adore. And he's got this post. Charlie was pretty clear as to how he felt about hate speech. Quote unquote. Hate speech does not exist legally in America. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech. And all of it is protected by the First Amendment. Keep America free. And that quote was by Charlie Kirk himself. Charlie Kirk would be appalled, Pam Bondi, that you're trying to actually go after these people for hate speech. It's hypocritical. Hate speech was created by the lunatic leftist liberals. These libtards created it because they couldn't handle there's an old thing when I was a kid. And it used to just this old nursery rhyme that when I was a kid, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt. We have grown so far from that adage and that axiomatic statement that you can't look at kids these days cross-eyed without them taking offense or feeling invalidated. Oh my gosh. Because we've got too many pussy-whipped freaking moms out there that don't know how to keep a man because they're too psychotic because they think women don't need men until they need to open up a pickle jar. Right? So, that now they're raising these boys without men in the family anymore, and it's disgusting. And now these kids are growing up. The men are more emasculated than ever. The men are becoming women. The women are becoming the men, or they think they are. And it's just becoming topsy-turvy. No, there's no such thing as hate speech. There might be ugly speech, and the speech might be hateful, but there is no such thing as hate speech. There is just speech that you don't like or you are offended by. Let's just be honest. That's what that is. So Pam Bondi, please, for the love of God, please retract your statement. Now, I heard Megyn Kelly the other day when she heard that. Megyn Kelly was like, yeah, legally you can't prosecute speech. And then she tried to justify Pam Bondi's statements by saying, well, I think what she's trying to do is she wants to prosecute those people that are making threats. Now, that's absolutely fine. Pam, if you find somebody that is making threats, please go after those people. By all means, I would love for you to do that. Right? By all means, you're allowed to do that. I want you to do that. I elected Donald Trump, who appointed you for people to go and do that. Right? By all means, you've got carte blanche as far as I'm concerned. Whatever that means, you got carte blanche. But you cannot go and just start using the DOJ as a bludgeoned instrument to go after people because they're saying something you don't like. That's the tactics of the left. The tactics of the left are Charlie, or he advocated for free speech. You know what I mean? Right now, there's this thing going by the left, right? They're all complaining about J.D. Vance and how unpresidential he is and how offensive his words are, blah, blah, blah. Because he said the terrorists have all, for statistically, have been left-wing radicals, which is true. A quick and simple FBI search on crime statistics will prove that out. You don't have to believe me. Just go to the crime statistics and do your own little research. It's quick and easy. It's easy to see. Most of the people committing the mass murders, by the way, are left-wing nut jobs. Period. Don't get me wrong, there has been some right-wing guys, but for the most part, for all intents and purposes, a good 90% of them have been left-wing lunatics, libtards, idiots, pathological liars and thieves and scoundrels. Over the last 10 years, we've had 7 instances of transgender people either committing assassinations or mass murder. 2 weeks ago in Wisconsin, a transgender identifying moron idiot just shot up a school of praying children, young children at that, not like teenage age or middle school age, young children, kids that have no political aspirations, goals, or ideas. None. All they do is their parents took them to this thing. They're sitting there. They're in pray time. This maniac, this wannabe girl or man or whatever, goes in and shoots up a school knowing that it's an easy target. It's thing. So I am disgusted by the left speech, but we cannot go after their speech. Let them. I want to know who the lunatics are. Right? There was a X post that I saw that was subscribed to Elon Musk quotes or something like that. It wasn't Elon Musk, but they were using their name. They said, should hate speech be banned on X? Yes or no? I wrote no. I want to know who the idiots are. I want to know who the lunatics are. I want to be able to know who my enemies are and not somebody who's going to try to stab me in the back. I want to know who those guys are. Right? And if anybody's offended by what I'm saying, by all means, be offended. I hope you are. I hope all you leftists are all triggered. But I have that right to speak it. Now, guys, you can have your own thoughts. I'm just giving you mine. And if you agree with mine, please, give me a like. Put a thumbs up if you want. No pressure. You can give me a thumbs down. I don't care. I'm going to continue saying what I'm going to say. Whether I get one view or millions of views. I don't care. I'm not doing this to get likes. I'm not doing this to get followers or views or anything of that nature. I'm not selling anything. I have no skin in the game other than I want to just rant and rave. So if you guys want to follow me, please do so. If you want to leave a comment, please do so. I will read every comment. I will respond to every comment. If and when I get too many, then maybe I won't. But right now I will. But I want to leave you with this. And it's a quote from Jesus Christ, our Savior and Father. He says, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." And my prayer is that God forgives you, because I am having a hard time doing it myself. Amen. God bless.